Look at that amazing background. Happy St. Patrick's Day. St. Patrick's Day is coming up. You know the spiel. It's your resident senior developer advocate at TuxCare, your boy, Chris DeMars. Hopefully, you're staying hydrated. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good early morning. Hopefully, you got some pop, soda, whatever you call it, water, coffee, juice, whatever is on your plate in front of you that you are staying hydrated with. Wanted to say happy March. My birthday's in a couple days. Super stoked. The big 4-0. And we are going to be rocking and rolling. I have a great guest that I want to bring up on the stage today. I'm not even going to introduce them. They are so great. I will let them introduce themselves. So, without further ado, come on up.
Hey, Chris, how's it going?
What's going on,
I'm
Jay? How
Jeremy
are you?
Morgan, and I help developers get better at what they do, ostensibly, hopefully. That is always the goal.
That's always the goal. Of course it is.
Very cool.
So how are you? How have things been? We haven't seen each other since Dallas.
Yeah, things have been really good, been really busy. So for the people watching who don't know me, which I guarantee is probably everybody, but I do course development, primarily training, things like that. I've been doing a ton of that, cracking out some really good courses and working on a big, huge personal project related to that. And so I've been pretty busy, and I've let some of my hobbies kind of creep into what I do a little bit more than usual, which is always good, right? We want to try to balance that as much as we can and stuff like that. So how are you doing? You know, I'll just warn you, sometimes I've gone on podcasts where I've turned around and interviewed the other person.
That's totally fine.
I don't like talking about myself. I don't know. So I'm just warning you that might happen. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. So Jason Torres he's infamous for doing that. You bring him on and then he just talks to you the whole time, which is totally fine. I love it. Jason's great. Yeah. I mean, hey, we're good. We're vibing. I go on vacation tomorrow for my birthday. Lots of travel. Yeah. So we're doing okay.
So this is like the last meeting before lunch break, and then just going for it.
Trying. Awesome. I think I got one more meeting today, and then I got to pack and then get on a plane tomorrow. So
nice. So yeah, one thing I've been talking with a lot of people about lately, of course, is the way tech is moving, things that are happening, and all of the people that are stuck in the middle, right? So we have certain groups of people who are just always on the new things all the time, you know, and for years and years, for those, I know you're one of those type of people. I am too. Like, what's the newest, latest cool thing? Let's go learn it. For the longest time, that put us at such a huge advantage, right? Because people are like, oh, here's this new thing that's come out. Oh, I've already built something with it, you know, or here's a new JavaScript library. And you're like, oh yeah, cool. I know that I put that together and here's my thoughts and things like that. And now it seems like the cycles are so fast that I'm not sure how anybody can be super ahead in anything, at least as it relates to like AI in development, things like that. Like, how do people stay ahead is one of the big challenges and one of the big problems. Like,
yeah, so I haven't jumped on the AI train yet, and this will kind of lead into the other stuff that we're going to talk about, but I haven't jumped on the AI train fully yet. Right. Yeah. Like, I use ChatGPT and Claude and Gemini for like little small things here and there. But like, I try to write all my code by hand. I know like that's like a faux pas nowadays. You're not supposed to do that. And like,
not for me.
You're not supposed to care about the code that's written anymore. Like the whole craftspersonship of the code, like clean code has gone out the window because it doesn't matter anymore because the AI is writing it. And if it works and the tests pass, who cares if it's modular? But like you and I came up in the game where like we were supposed to write flexible and modular code that, you know, like if you're writing a function, that function does one thing only. And I'm not understanding the precedence of all this. So what I did was yesterday, I was like, let me give this a chance. So I paid for like 1 month of Claude. And I have this idea, super small app that I'm building at work that'll help with my team. And you know, the AI hype is, oh, you do it with Claude and you prompt Claude and Claude builds the app and it works. It'll just be working. It'll be a production ready app. I build this app and it doesn't work. Like, what the? Everybody's lying to me. Like, what is going on here?
Yeah, definitely. And So I did a course a couple months ago, and one of the things that I showed in there was exactly what you're talking about. And it wasn't the intention to show this, but since it came out, I left it in there. But it was basically like, here's how you can use, it's actually Claude Code, to build tests and punch holes in it for security, find out what the security problems are. And so we had Claude Code build this, in the course, build out this application. And I'm like, yeah, cool, it works. This looks great. Let's do a security audit on it and see what that's like. Mm-hmm. Pages of stuff that's like, and there's things you can do to avoid that also. But I guess my overall point is I still think the hand coding is good, but I'm not a Luddite, right? I'm fully into all of this AI stuff. I wrote a book about AI assisted coding tools. And in that book, I say you should use these tools, right? So I'm not like a Luddite or somebody that's like, no. But I think that basic problem solving and knowledge of the code and how it works is going to be the key differentiator in the future, right? So everybody's going to be able to spin up Claude Code and build applications and kick them out. That's awesome. I fully support that, like non-coders. So we hear a lot about non-coders. I fully support that because I think there's a lot of non-coders out there with great ideas, great knowledge of their domains that don't know how to code. So this is going to be great for people like them, but you're still going to need people who look at that code and say, okay, is this going to expose our company? Is this going to crash? Is this going to whatever? So I still think that core stuff is important. I think at this point, it's a point of balancing, like how much, like we're probably not going to ask new people that they read, the art of computer programming or something,
right?
In order to do their job. It's going to be less and less, but I still think that common problem solving, and a lot of where that comes from, like in a past life, I like to say past life, like anything more than 10 years ago was a totally different me. In a past life, I managed engineers, and I was an engineer, like a working, contributing engineer. And I tell people all the time, like, we're not paid to write code, we're paid to solve problems. And I didn't make that up. Somebody told me that, and I stole it and ran with it. However, I think that's still the key thing, right? I think that's more relevant now than it was back in 2010 or whenever I was telling people that, because you're going to need somebody that knows how to solve problems. You're going to need somebody that knows how to produce workflows, build things like that. And now we have AI that's going to do it all for us, right? Ostensibly, that's what people say. It's going to do it all for us. And I think that that's short-lived. I really think that we're going to have it do it all for us, and then we're going to find out why that's a problem. But then we're going to have a set of people who are well-trained in those technologies, at least in problem solving and their domain, and they're going to take that and it's just going to amplify them. I mean, ideally, you want it to just amplify what they do. Yeah. So if this person is somebody that builds applications, we just want them to build applications faster and solve problems faster and go from aha to cha-ching as fast as possible, right? The whole DevOps thing. And yeah, I still think it's going to come down to, like, the key differentiator is going to be somebody that can solve problems well and somebody that actually knows what's going on. There's certain things, like if I went into Claude Code right now and have it develop, I don't know, a Java Spring app or something. Right. I don't know Java Spring. You take somebody who is a Java Spring developer who's been doing it every day, tell them to build an app with AI. Whose do you think will be better? I mean, there's no question. I would say even like a second-year Java Spring programmer would do better than me with all my experience. Just knowledge of the domain, knowledge of how those kind of applications work. And so I'm still telling people, like, don't give up on the code. Learn the code, especially, I mean, at least Python, right? Because Python's what glues all this stuff together. So
yeah. Well, wasn't there just recently I saw it on Twitter. I think it might have been on LinkedIn too, but wasn't there something that just literally happened at Amazon where there was like an outage because someone was using AI to like build out a system, and because they use so there was some issue within that, and like it caused an outage, and they had to have a whole meeting about it. So like, where does the state of AI go now as in regards to Amazon? And then like, how are people going to follow suit? Because when bigger companies start doing things, then all the smaller companies start like trying to follow in their footsteps, right? And then when shit hits the fan at these big companies because of something, and these other companies realize, oh, hey, we're also like sort of doing the same thing, we need to backtrack. Like now you can start seeing that snowball effect where, oh, hey, this is causing problems, and it could cause problems for other people and other orgs.
Yeah, definitely. And that is always how it works, because Amazon was used as an example not very long ago, several times, like, oh, we're 25% of our code is AI now, and this is great and this is awesome. And then, yeah, I saw this. I think it was like a internal email that got leaked or something. I know exactly what we were talking about yesterday, where they said no junior and mid developers can use AI anymore for certain things. And who knows if that's just their department. Like, I've worked in a gigantic Fortune 100, and you have different companies within the company, so who knows, that could just be one department. But you're right, that's where other companies are going to be like, oh, well, if it didn't work for Amazon, it's not going to work for us.
Yeah, there's a lot of let me see if I can find it. There's reportedly holds, like on Twitter, breaking: Amazon reportedly holds a mandatory meeting after quote unquote vibe coded changes trigger major outages. Here's let's see, this is from March 5th. This is from the Detroit News. I'm just going to plug Detroit. Let me put it in the chat. This is a link to Twitter, but the Detroit News Twitter profile, Twitter page, whatever. Amazon says it fixed issue that led to website outage for thousands. Like, that's huge. You know what I mean? Like, you're supposed to be a big player in the game and know what's going on. And then, I mean, I'm not, no hate to Amazon or anything like that. No hate to any companies out there that are using AI, but you gotta play nice.
Yeah. And sometimes, there's pressure from the top. I try not to celebrate or point and laugh at or anything like that when there's big, huge outages. And, it turns out it was they always blame it on the intern, right? Like, intern did it.
Exactly.
But it's really hard to point and laugh at things like that, because that happens to all of us, and now it's just happening faster.
It could happen to anybody, you, me, like, it doesn't matter who it is. If one little mistake, that's just like, you could sort of like compare that to, if we're talking about, if we put it in the lens of like cybersecurity, like installing a malicious package on accident, like with a package that was typo squatted, you accidentally press the S something too many times, or you install the wrong package, and now the problems happen.
Yeah, exactly. And so now it's just happening faster. And so I think what we're going to see is probably big companies like Amazon are going to come out with structures that make sense. Like, we're only going to use AI after this point, or we're going to use it just to check PRs or something like that. Or we're going to have our own bespoke AI system. And I've already seen this in place in a lot of places, where it's like, we have our own bespoke AI system that works the way we want it to. It writes as much code as we want it to, but we still sit over here and write code. And I think those kind of structures, when people come up with them and share them, is probably going to make a big difference.
Yeah. I know, I fully agree. So let's kind of move that conversation outside of org level, like junior, mid, seniors, and let's move it into the college space, because I know you and I were talking about this earlier. The challenges that are now presented, and I know you have strong opinions about it, and you have feelings, and I would love to hear it. And I share that same sentiment with you. I personally believe, and I know you personally believe, that it's going to be a lot harder for people that are in school and people that are in college now, with the advent of LLMs and AI tools like Claude, etc., to stay ahead of the game when it was already hard enough to stay ahead of the game when you're in college.
Yeah, exactly. And so, when I was coming up and when you were coming up, I'm not sure exactly when you started. I got my first paid tech job in the year 2000. So that's how old I am.
My first paid ever was in 2008, but I started writing code for fun in 95, I think.
Yeah, so almost exactly the same amount of time. And when I started out, and I've talked with my colleagues about this too. I'm like, when I talk to beginning developers, I'm like, I am 20 plus years out of that. So, most of the stuff that I could tell you about how to succeed in the early 2000s is useless now, right? Of course, like, learn that new ASP thing. That thing is really awesome,
Yeah.
But I think it's gotten more challenging, and a lot of the older developers will say, well, back in our day, we had to crack open real books and we didn't have Google and we didn't have this. That was absolutely true. But we also didn't have many of the challenges that they have now. You know, we didn't have people that were expecting the type of output that they expect now. We weren't having things move as fast as they move now. I mean, I can remember joking around and saying something like, there's a new Java thing or a new JavaScript library released every week. And now every week, that's slow. You know, like,
right, exactly.
Compared to how it moves now, like the way I was using AI on Monday is different from the way I use AI on Friday because something always happens all the time. And so, you know, I think about that a lot. Like, what should the new folks do? And specifically right now, if you think about it, I don't know about you or anyone else, but the first time I used ChatGPT was in 2022 when it was open to the public. And so there are a lot of people that are like, I was using LLMs for 3 years by then or whatever. I'm not one of those people. It came out and I'm like, this is kind of cool. I'll look at it and see what, you know. Ends up being awesome. And if you think about it, there's folks that were freshmen in college that year who are graduating this year. What in the heck are they graduating out into? And, you know, for those who stuck with it, I mean, I could imagine people changing their majors or changing what they want to do for a living. You know, if they decide to take a non-college path, like they're deciding what to do for a living. I could see a lot of people saying coding. No, that's gone. That's out of here. And so for that, I think for those new students, I think they should be learning those core things. I think they should look up, you know, some of the older folks. Like I mentioned the art of computer programming, and I was kind of kidding about that. So I own the art of computer programming, volumes 1 through 4. And I have tried for several years, even after 2 decades in this industry, I've tried for several years to go through those books front to back. And it's just, my brain just goes, nope, I'm not doing it. But that's where I'm pushing newer folks, like those seniors this year. I think they should learn problem solving, learn how to get into a domain and learn it well. So you think about it, when you go to a new company, you know, we've all gone from company to company. There's always someone there that's like, oh no, that's, you know, this is how this works because I made it this way. And this is how we have to do it because of this. And oftentimes there's like really custom stuff, you know, like the value has to be 37. Why? I don't know. You know, if we change it, everything breaks. So that's that domain knowledge that, you know, if you learn how to grab that kind of domain knowledge fast, and you learn what our company does, like say, you know, our company rents tractor equipment, you know, learning as much as you possibly can about tractor equipment and how it's rented and what the problems are so that you can attack those problems. And maybe you're attacking those problems is just going to AI and having it generate code to build an app to solve the problem. But I think that domain knowledge and that basic problem solving stuff is what's really going to come out and shine. And that's something that we all say we want to get better at. And we put it off. Or maybe I'm just speaking for myself, but I'm like, I really want to get better at algorithms. And so I'll do a little bit each year and try to move towards it. But now I think that's the kind of stuff that people are really going to have to push themselves towards. And I tell people, go to LeetCode still. I mean, LeetCode's been around for years, and everybody has strong opinions about LeetCode one way or another. But I still tell people, I'm like, go to LeetCode and don't use a single bit of AI to solve your problem.
Yeah, I think the problem solving thing is one of the things that's key, because like, even though I'm self-taught, I did go back to school for just so I could get the degree and stuff. But thinking of the problem solving, not just problem solving within like the classes or like the academic, like the education. What am I trying to say? The subjects that you're learning, like, so like, let's say you're taking a class on Java or Python or whatever the case may be, putting yourself in a real world, thinking of a real world situation, a real world use case to problem solve outside of the 4 walls of the classroom, I think is super beneficial, right? Because when you're in class, you're just thinking about like what's in, well, I guess a book. I don't know if they still have books in college, right? I used to have to buy books in college. I have no idea. I haven't been to college in years. But like, you're thinking of like the situation that's presented within the textbook or iPad or whatever the content is, right?
Yeah.
Really putting yourself outside of that in a real world aspect, I think is crucial to moving forward and really like you said, like understanding, like for instance, renting a tractor, like how do you do that? What is the process? What does supply chain look like for that? What would a problem be for that? What would a test case? What would a happy path and not happy path? Could AI do this? Like all of those key components to that thought process, I think would benefit those seniors. I mean, even anybody kind of in the space, a lot more than just going in blind.
Yeah, totally. And I often tell people to get a hobby, right, that's not technical and go after. You've probably seen me talk about this. I talk about it a lot. Like, get a hobby that's non-technical and go out and pursue it and do something that makes your heart sing. And then kind of think of the comparisons between your career, your tech career, and what you're doing. And one of the examples I've used, like being a volunteer firefighter for years and years and years, you would think, okay, that's something that's just completely different from software development.
Mm-hmm.
But in reality, as I think about it, as I'm doing both of these things, I think there's a lot of similarities, like scaling. Scaling is an issue in the fire department. You wouldn't think about that as much. But if you think about it, if you have somebody that stubbed their toe in their front yard, and they're like, I just need someone to come look at this, make sure it's not broken, that requires a certain amount of personnel, right? It's just an ambulance with a couple of people on it. But if a propane tank blows off behind somebody's house and it catches on fire, what's that look like? Well, that's 10 times the amount of resources. And the way they scale that kind of stuff, a lot of those people are just absolutely non-technical people, but excellent strategists, problem solvers, things like that. And so I look at that and I look at, how do they scale things up in our area? When we have a car accident and all of a sudden now we've got a helicopter involved and we've got to fly somebody, what does that look like? And you can watch and see how things are scaled up and then kind of think about that when I come back to work on Monday. I'm like, I've got some new ideas. I've got new ideas for leadership. And that's how. And it's weird to call volunteering a hobby, but that's one of the things that I've done that I've noticed a lot of crossover. And one of my really good friends who I volunteered with for years and years, he just retired from Amazon. He was an SDET, and him and I have sat at a table and talked about the different things that we've learned from the fire service that apply to tech. And we're like, oh yeah, and we talked about scaling a lot. And we talked about things like people management is the exact same in the fire service as it is in tech. You've got to be kind to people. You've got to treat them well. You've got to build them up. You've got things like that. And so I encourage people to go out and find something, and especially folks that are our age, like I see a lot of people rediscovering things like remote control cars and skateboards. And for me, it's video games. Like I built this simulator thing to do simulated racing against other people online. And I kind of made this joke, to my wife. I said, I'm going to go out there and get beat by a bunch of 12-year-olds. Well, I get into this competitive racing thing, and doing this formula, and it's all people like my age. So I'm getting beat by a bunch of people my age, but it's all people that have like gotten older and just rediscovered this old hobby, I just thought it was me being weird. And then I go in there and there's people, oh yeah, I'm 60 years old. I just decided that, I can't drive a real race car. So I'm going to go do this. And
right.
And that's another place where I try to extract some knowledge from. And the second place that comes in is when you're building demos and you're trying to get a job is, what kind of demos can you build? And people are like, well, I don't want to do a to-do list. Nobody wants to do a to-do list. So you just think of something tied to your hobby, the problem, and solve it. I want to take telemetry files out of iRacing and I want to process, and I've actually done this. I'm sure you probably guess, but you take these files out of iRacing, have it analyze it. We're going to analyze this next to Max Verstappen and see what the difference is and what you need to do to drive more like him. That becomes a project where if I were trying to get a developer job or something like that, that's what I would show them. I'd be like, hey, look at this thing. Here's where I'm trying to catch up with the fastest F1 driver in the world using AI,
Right.
And so things like that, I tell people, chase your hobbies because those hobbies will pay off in more ways than one.
Yeah, one of the things I'm working on, I'm trying to build, I don't want to divulge too much into it, but so like one of my hobbies, I'm a competitive bass angler. So like with that, and like when you talk about, I mean, not just like tech in general, but like e-commerce and stuff like that, there's inventory management, et cetera, et cetera. And, with bass fishing or any type of fishing, you have to purchase things and you have to purchase a lot of lures and line and tackle and rods and reels and all this stuff. And, you have a huge tackle wall with all your stuff. Well, when you start running out of stuff comes, you go through stuff on your boat, you're running through stuff on your tackle wall. There needs to be some type of inventory management there. And like what most people do, they just look and like, oh, geez, well, they write it down, or like, oh, I need this, that, and the other thing. I got to order from Tackle Warehouse or, Copper State Tackle, whatever the case may be. So I'm working on something where like I can bring my hobby into the tech space and work on something where I can figure out a way to keep my inventory, in check. And then when I start running low on something, I get notified somehow, and then I can place an order and et cetera. So like I'm trying to weave my hobby into that as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's exactly what I mean. So I knew I was kind of preaching to the choir. Somehow I did not know that you're a competitive bass fisher. That's awesome.
Yeah, I am. I fish the local club here in Michigan. I fish other tournaments. I'm sponsored by a handful of companies. I have my own YouTube channel. Yeah, so
yeah, so that's exactly what I'm talking about. Like, find something that makes your heart sing, keeps you busy, and at the same time, like, you can help bring that back to your career. And
right.
Yeah. I have no idea what a 22-year-old's hobbies are these days, but
well, so my stepson, he works, he goes to school, he goes to the gym, plays video games. Like that's what he does.
Yeah. That's what my oldest son kind of works, and then does a lot of like automotive stuff, and works out and goes to sleep.
Yeah. Yeah. Sleep is key. The other day was National Napping Day. That's like my favorite day of the year, besides National Pizza Day.
Yeah, I woke up at 8:00 on Sunday, and I was like, "Whoa, I had really slept in." And I was like, "Oh, that's right. Never mind. I woke up 7. That's a pretty common time for me to wake up." But
that's funny. If we spin it back to the college stuff for a second, you and I both know that college curriculum is behind. It's always behind. It will always be behind. The stuff they're teaching in college today is not the stuff that really is needed in 2026, March 11th, 2026. So they're already behind. So that already kind of gives them it's less advantageous for them, because I know even when I was in school, like I was already doing stuff because I was self-taught already. So I was already up on the latest stuff. But the people in my class, even the instructor, had not a single clue of some of the web technologies that I was talking about. And like I would have conversations with people in class about, hey, like you need to know, like I understand what the school is teaching us, but you need to know A, B, and C to get these jobs. And it's like, right, like a week before graduation, I'm asking people in my class, like, if I were to ask you what an API is, could you tell me? And nobody could tell me what an API is. And I'd ask, like, can you tell me what deprecated HTML is or deprecated markup? They couldn't tell me what that was, or how to use Git and GitHub, or having a GitHub profile, or even a regular like portfolio. Because like back in the day, you had to have a portfolio and a GitHub profile in order to get a gig. And nobody in the class had any recollection of anything I was talking about a week before we graduated. So like that right there just tells you, I mean, they were teaching Perl CGI in my college at the time for a web course.
Yeah.
And this was the mid 20 teens, right? And because I dropped out of college a handful of times after I graduated high school. So I went back in the 20 teens, but like they had a whole class on Perl. I'm like, it's like 2012, 2013, they're teaching Perl. Like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
But yeah, a week before graduation, I was asking the students in my class, and even the instructor, because the instructor would just let me go off because he knew better. He's like, Chris knows what he's talking about. None of them knew what I was talking about a week before we're graduating with the same degree in this class.
Yeah.
And I'm like, So with that being said, college curriculum, they're already kind of a little bit behind. Now you stack AI and LLMs on top of that, they're even further behind. Yeah. Where do you think that's going to break? Like, is curriculum ever going to get up to date? Are they going to, I think some places are starting to teach AI, but are they teaching the right AI in this course curriculum? Like, what is your feelings on the level of pushed backedness? That's a new word.
Pushed back.
These students, pushed backedness. Yeah. Or, maybe that works. That these students are going to face in academia, whether it's 4-year university, 2-year, 4-year business college.
I think they're going to fall behind even more, and I don't think they're really going to keep up. I think what they're going to have to do is pull back and do some more abstract type stuff. And what I mean by that is, instead of teaching specific technologies, they're probably going to have to teach how each technology works. So the course is going to look like, this is what an LLM is, and this is how it works. And you're going to spend 6 months talking about a generic transformer pattern. Here's how computer languages and compilers work. And they're going to maybe take C and some. That's just my guess, only because that's the only way they'll be able to keep up, right? So if we come up with, and I know, because I mentioned that I wrote a book, right? And biggest problem, that book took 1.5 years. It was like, I would write stuff and build it, and then I would contact the publisher and be like, yeah, they just changed all that, so we got to get rid of it. And they would be like, oh, 2 weeks ago? Yeah, 2 weeks ago. It's all changed now. It's all different. So I imagine doing a college course being pretty much impossible, and people should probably give up on it. It's like trying to, chase each technology is probably too difficult. But if those colleges, like, I think about what I learned in college, and I was very similar to you. I was already in the industry, and it was like, I kept applying for jobs, and they're like, gotta have a degree. And so I'm like, fine, I'll get this stupid degree. And one of the things that I took out of it was not how to work with Access databases, which was a whole entire class, right? Mm-hmm. It was mostly writing, like learning writing and networking with folks. So some of the people that I went to school with, I still talk to every day, or not every day, but I still talk to fairly regularly. And so that might sound cynical and terrible, but maybe the only reason you go to college is to learn some basic kind of abstract type things, about what you're doing. And then once you hit the ground running, you're good. And then networking with other people, like just other people that are roughly your age or have your same interests that you meet. Very valuable. That's one of the things I'm thankful for. Is in my college, I went to a tech college. It was not a big fancy place that you'd make a lot of money. That's an entirely different type of networking. but just a bunch of people that we were all kind of in tech, and a lot of people were adults at the same time doing night school, and meeting those people is probably the value. Which, if you're running a university, how do you kind of amplify that? I have no idea. But
right, I think the most value I got out of college is to that point exactly. Like, we had public speaking classes and like business communication classes, and I already had a background in writing, so like the writing and composition and English, that was fine. I could write papers, I could do that stuff. But if it wasn't, I believe if it wasn't for the speech classes and the business communication and having to put presentations together and deliver those, I would have never been able to kind of craft my voice and brand the way it is today if I didn't learn what I learned in college about public speaking and the do's and the don'ts and the way to do things and how to prep for a talk and ways to kind of hype yourself up and ways not to get discouraged. Like, all of that I learned in school. And then after I got out of school, I was speaking before that, but like on a bigger stage, I took all of that into consideration. And then just every year I started, ticking off more of what I learned and ticking off more of what I learned, to the point where now that's ingrained in my head. I don't need to fall back on what I learned in college, because now I have that brand, I have that voice, I have that personality and that authenticity, where if it wasn't for school, in being in those classes, I don't know if I would have, I wouldn't be the person I am today when it comes to public speaking.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think those are kind of those core skills. I feel the exact same way, like getting up in front of people. The first time I did that was probably in high school, like some kind of speech class. And those are things that do end up being important. You don't think they are at the time. I didn't think it was at the time. I was like, yeah, I'll just do this thing, get the grades so I can get out of here. Right. And then looking back, it's like, oh no, that was what helped me learn how to communicate better, get more ideas, fewer words, that kind of thing. So yeah, I can't speak of any other industry other than the one I work in, but I would think that colleges are probably changing right now into something more like that. My daughter's in college, but she's in college for biology, so it's like it's completely different. And she talks about how AI is impacting them, and it's in kind of a negative way. She says a lot of people are just heavily reliant on it, and they're going to go out into the world and maybe get surprised when they have to go out and do something for real.
Yeah, and the one thing I always talk about is AI will never take away the human aspect. Like it doesn't matter. There will always what you and I do, technology in general, there will always be a human piece to what we do, and AI will never replace that. And if kids nowadays or adults, young adults, anybody is just solely relying on that, they're really missing out on that human, personal skill and interaction.
Yeah. And humans have, so we have taste, right? And AI doesn't have taste. So developing taste, I think, is very important. And decision making, like being the human that makes the decisions before AI is even involved, and then let AI make decisions faster, but you need to make those right decisions up front. I think that's the great way to position yourself as a person. And really, like as you say that, I started to think about that. That's one of the things that we probably should be telling those people graduating out of school or getting in the industry: learn how to speak, learn how to communicate, learn how to talk. I've literally, in 2018 and 19, my job was actually translating between tech people and executives. That's what led me kind of into education, but that's a whole other story. But that was my job, and I had to learn how to sit in front of all these nerds, who are my people, and talk and get these ideas and where are we at and how are things going and what do we want to do. Then I have to spin around in my chair and talk to these executives who are just like, I don't care what language you're using, what database. I don't give a shit about any of that stuff.
Right.
How are you making this company move forward? How are you improving things? How are all these people that you just talked to worth, keeping here? And so, that was like a big push for my communication, that you have to learn to go back and forth. And that's the thing that I think people should focus on more than anything, is being more human in the age of AI. It's kind of like art,
Definitely.
I'm guilty as guilty as anybody of generating cool artistic stuff with AI just to see it. But that stuff's tearing apart the art community right now. And we're going to, I think we're going to go back to a little bit more towards human artists, because they're humans. It looks better. And we're tired of seeing generative art already.
Yep.
I'm tired of it.
Yeah.
Tired of seeing the videos. We're all going to get fatigued. And then real artists can come back and say, okay, I'll draw this thing for you. And
right. And the artist would be like, hold my beer. I'm coming back in.
Yeah, definitely. So just
the one thing we didn't talk about before we wrap, the one thing we didn't talk about, potato chips. Let's talk about chips. What is your favorite chip?
All right. So my favorite chip is something that I'm allergic to in real life. So it's sour cream and onion.
Oh,
I'm allergic to onions. Yeah, they're the best.
My girlfriend's also allergic to onions, so I got to be careful when I cook food.
Oh yeah. See, I don't meet a whole lot of people out there, but my cousin can't even have sour cream and onion chips. She's so allergic to onions.
Wow.
But I can pour onion powder, but that's probably my favorite. I would say sour cream and onion, and like an orange soda is something that I discovered I loved as a child, that at 48 years old, I still I don't drink sugared soda anymore for a very long time. So it's often a diet orange soda, but an orange soda and sour cream and onion chips are the best. I love it when they get creative with chips. Essentially it's just like this fatty thing with salt covered all over it, right? And it's always the example of things you're not supposed to eat, right? Where they say, well, you lay off the chips. But I like it when they get interesting with them. So, when they make those like really hot ones, or they make some weird flavor, or like caramel corn or something. What about you? What's your favorite chip?
Oh, I'm a chip fiend. I'm a dip and salsa fiend. I buy bags of chips. I go through maybe half, and then they get stale just because I can't eat enough of them. Sour cream and onion, Ruffles, Now, we're not sponsored by Ruffles or Lay's or any company out there, but sour cream and onion with sour cream and onion dip. That's key. That's really,
Yeah.
really good. Cool Ranch Doritos,
Good
Taco
classic.
Doritos, French onion sun chips,
Yeah.
key. And then I would say tortilla chips, of course, but I think any like kettle cooked, like a salt and vinegar, a salt and pepper, a barbecue kettle, like those are
Yeah.
kind of my go-tos.
Yeah, I know I'm kind of the same way. If it's a kettle cooked chip, then that's more important than whatever the flavor is. And you can kind of look at the flavor and be like, oh, that'll work as long as it's kettle cooked.
You got to be careful with the kettle cooked though, because they are so crunchy and hard, like they can tear your mouth up. So you got to be super careful, like when you're chomping down on them. So there's a company, I don't know if y'all have it on your end of the country, but Zapp's. Have you heard of Zapp's?
No, I have not.
So I think Zapp's it's a down south, like Florida, Georgia, chip company, and they make some bomb chips. Like you can go into Publix and buy Zapp's. They have them here in some of our stores, but they have one called Voodoo. They have mesquite barbecue, Cajun dill gator taters. Those are really good. They just taste like Cajun dill pickle.
Yeah.
Bayou blackened ranch. Like it's really, really good chips. And I think they're all kettle as well. So if you ever get a chance to get your hands on a Zapp's brand, definitely do it.
Yeah, I just made a note of it. I'm sure I can find it online.
Especially if you go down south, let's say you got a trip to Florida. We got a trip to Florida in a few weeks. Go to Publix, get yourself a bag of Zapp's, and you'll be super happy. Get a pop, get your pub sub, and you're going to be good to go.
Yeah, I like to put chips on sandwiches, right?
Bologna sandwiches, fried bologna sandwiches, dude.
Yeah, exactly. And I remember the first time I went to Florida, and my friend was like, "You have to have a Cuban sandwich." And it's funny, he like looked at me and goes, "Don't put chips on it." Like, what do you mean? He's like, I've seen you do this before. He's like, don't.
Just by default, he knows you're gonna put chips on it.
Yeah, he's like, don't put chips on a Cuban sandwich. Give it an honest try first. And then he did, and I was like, okay, this doesn't need chips at all. Cuban sandwiches are just the best.
Yeah, man. If you do a fried bologna sandwich with a fried egg, pepper jack cheese, and better made barbecue chips on top, and you just smash it together. Oh, bro!
I've got a pro tip for you. Do you ever dip chips into the sour cream? Like, is that? Some people love it. Some people hate it. My wife hates it. Some people.
I have the only kind of sour cream based I do is like French onion.
Because one thing that my son discovered that we tried just like a couple weeks ago is Greek yogurt. So unflavored Greek yogurt. Putting that in place of sour cream, we did that with some nachos, and it was just incredible because it's like sour cream, but it has a little kick to it.
Yeah,
it's unflavored Greek yogurt. And when he first told me, I'm just like, isn't that stuff sweet? He's like, no, unflavored Greek yogurt isn't that sweet.
Yeah.
So then it works. Like if you dipped it in like peach yogurt or something, it'd just be terrible.
Yeah, I wouldn't. That would be different, unless they were peach flavored chips.
Yeah, but then it works.
That's
works pretty well.
That's awesome. Well, Jeremy, we're going to wrap it up. Thank you so much for taking the time. I know it's early on the West Coast, so I really, really appreciate it. Is there anything that you want to plug before we end the stream?
Nah. Like I said, I wrote a book. It's around here somewhere. I don't know, but yeah, not really. Just wanted to hang out and have fun.
Cool.
Chat with you again.
Appreciate it. Awesome.
I might reach out to you about some fishing stuff now that I know this. So I do a little bit different kind of fishing. It's mostly deep sea and trout, but I might reach out with you about that. Just to
hell yeah. No, that sounds awesome.
Chat about
that sounds
fishing.
Awesome. Kind of cool. Fun. No, anytime, man. Anytime you want to chat about fishing, let me know. We are going to wrap this up. We will be streaming next week. I don't have a guest, so I'll probably be running solo, I think. I might have a guest. I have to check the calendar. But keep a lookout on the socials for that. Jeremy, once again, thank you for your time. Great conversation. Very, very impactful and meaningful, especially with the state of things with AI and curriculum and stuff like that. So we are going to end it. Thanks again. Thanks everybody that tuned in.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And we will catch you on the flip. Peace.
All right, cool.